All right, now we're ready to go. Got it right the second time.
That's usually the way it goes. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Project GenX podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with...
I'm the other guy, Big Dave.
And this episode is one of our... We're just turning the microphones on and going to talk for a while. We've got some... we've got some cool stuff to talk about, but we also are probably just going to... Ramble for a while, which is what we're probably best at. So
we took a little trip, and
we did.
We went to Atlanta and back, and didn't manage to. We managed to come back in one piece.
Yeah, I didn't kill us
in spite of Alan's driving. In the downpour torrential rain that left West Tennessee completely covered over in rain and flooding.
And luckily the murder airbags didn't have to deploy. So
thanks for telling me about that. Going over Mont Eagle, I appreciate that.
Anytime, man. I tell you, it's always an adventure being on the road with me.
It's a recall. It's a free replacement, dude.
I know. Well, you know why I haven't had them haven't them done yet. Tell me where there's a Honda around here, a Honda dealership around here. Trickett's not there any longer. They moved.
Oh,
yeah, and so that's kind of the
Gallatin.
Yeah, that's
Gallatin.
I noticed that the last time I was up there, and that was kind of one of those. I was like, oh yeah, I have to remember that, and I was like, that means I got to come all the way to Gallatin.
Yep.
So yeah, I need to get that taken care of.
Yeah, you do.
You know, as much as I like to have a little bit of danger in just my daily life. That one's a little...
Just driving around Nashville in general is dangerous enough without having shrapnel airbags.
Exactly. So
just saying.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we went to Atlanta, Georgia this last weekend to the Southern Fried Gaming Expo.
Gaming Expo.
See, it used to be the Game Room Expo.
Yeah.
And they changed it. And, but yeah, we went down there to go play some classic video games.
And lots of pinball.
Yeah, Dave played a ton of pinball because he was all about some pinball.
I love me some pinball.
Yeah, and it was
which I think kind of drove you crazy a little bit.
It didn't bother me any because, like I said, I was over playing Dig Dug, and a few other things. That that was the third time I've been down there.
Yeah,
and I always have fun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I always have fun. This year was a lot different than years past. Now I understand. Was
the crowd down?
Crowd was down. It's in a new hotel from the last time I was there.
Sure. It seemed like it was spread out kind of all over the place.
Before wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
Like the hotel that it was in before, and I can't for the life of me, I can't pull what hotel it was in. But it literally was one of those things that you came in, you walked through the lobby, and you went down a hallway. And down that hallway was where the two big games, like where they had one room that was all pinball, they had one room that was all
classic console.
Well, yeah, they had one that was all pinball and one that was all classic con. Well, actually, no, I don't even think that's true. I think they just had two big... They had one big ballroom, probably not quite as big as about the same size as the one that they had all of them in this year.
Yeah.
But it was jam-packed with stuff. Like and that one was mainly... the consoles, like the stand-up machine, the classic machines, classic machines, kind of stuff. And they had a smattering of pinball machines in there, kind of around the outside, whatever. And then, buddy, I know. All right, give us a little one. You have fun, okay? I see that. Yeah, my son's here today, so I probably hear him come through every once in a while. He's showing us some neat Lego stuff that he's doing.
That's Minecraft, my man.
Minecraft Legos. He is all into that Minecraft. I don't understand it. This is video games pass me by apparently. So it's I don't get Minecraft at all. What was I saying? Anyways, and then there was a smaller ballroom that they used.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it wasn't even really. It was more of a conference room than a ballroom, And that one was most of the pinball machines, but there were some arcade machines in there also.
Okay.
But not nearly as many arcade machines over there as there was in the other one. And it was all down one hallway.
Nice.
And so it was one of those things where, like, and also where they had the console room set up, where you could play, like, they had all the classic, like, home consoles.
Yep.
And,
saw a Sega Genesis this weekend.
Yeah,
I was wanting to. Yeah. I was like, please let that be Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
No.
And and that kind of stuff, and as well as they had rooms where they were having panels, different.
Yeah.
And the other thing is they had a lot of guests before too. Like that's where I had met Billy Mitchell and Walter Day. Also, Joel West was there one year.
Oh, that's cool.
And
a lot of the guys
Richie,
King of Kong.
Yeah, I can't remember Richie's last name. They did a documentary about him called The King of Arcades, which is pretty cool because he like restores old arcade machines and stuff. And then there was trying to think who else was there. They had different. What's his name? Jerry Buckner from Buckner and Garcia, the Pac-Man Fever, because he lives in Atlanta area.
Oh,
he was there, and they would have different people. Like they had the guy that was in The Last Starfighter was there one year. That played the main character, and
I cannot
and different stuff. Like they would have
now.
stuff like that, So it was like, and like this year they didn't really have guests per se. Like I didn't see anybody on. Like for months I kept looking like, and I get it. People aren't traveling the way they used to, I mean, and of course, with the new fervor over the variants and stuff, people are traveling even less, So it's kind of one of those like I get it. Maybe next year things will get back to normal. As far as
it was
the
a
hotel,
good year for me to show up for the my first time.
Yes,
and kind of get a feel for it.
And you also didn't get as overwhelmed. Now I'll tell you one of the differences between where they had all the arcades set up this year and when they had it in like the ballrooms before.
Yeah,
where they had it this year, there was no carpet in there.
No, that was all concrete.
It was all concrete, and so it was one of those things where it was like everything echoed off of everything.
It was a cacophony of noise and bleeps.
And that was one of the things I liked from where they had it before, because it was a carpeted ballroom.
Yeah.
There was, the walls weren't just like, exposed bricko blocks and, that kind of stuff. So it was like, it dampened it down quite a bit.
I have to admit, I kind of wish I'd had my earplugs.
Yeah.
Because after I had been in that room for a little while, I had to get out and like let my ears rest for a minute.
Yeah, it's like I was telling you, I was in Vegas a month ago. Yeah, and I know you've never been to Vegas.
I have no want.
Yeah, but I was telling him, Dave, when we were walking through, I was like, man, it's like this is what Vegas is like 24/7. It's just a constant barrage of sight and sound, of lights and flashing lights and bells and whistles and it's just like, oh my goodness, I remember at one point, like we were there for 4 days. On the third day, like going back to the hotel room and just like laying there for 2 hours in the dark, just in quiet.
Whoa.
I wasn't tired. I was just like,
overload.
Yeah, I was just like,
complete
I need to
overload.
decompress in the quiet for a while. So.
But it was interesting going up that escalator into the main area, and right in the big area they had like the tabletop free play. And we're talking like board games.
Yes.
And then around the outside of that, they had all the board game vendors and some other stuff. Right. That was really cool.
As I say, that's one of the things also that they have been really good with from the very beginning about having board games, and not only just having the stuff that you were like, what was it, Settlers of Catan or whatever, that type. It's like, no, they like had like new board games, like new tabletop games. People coming in there.
They were beta testing stuff. They were like, here are the rules. See if you can break them, and that was really cool. I didn't. We didn't take part of any of that.
No, I mean I'm not a big tabletop gamer, and
we were there for
video games. We also knew we were only there for a few hours.
It was a day trip.
Yeah, it was a day trip for us. So it was like, I have not done tabletop gaming like that in 20 plus years. Okay, and so it's one of those things. But I still remember playing Warhammer 40K back in the day. And
no, you're talking about RPGing though.
Right.
That was that conference room downstairs.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just talking in that upper part.
Yeah, I know.
It's just,
but it was still one of those things where I'm like,
unpack it out of a board.
But friend of the show, Dwayne, and his son Reese were there.
Yeah, and
they were there all 3 days, and apparently Reese stayed up all night playing D&D.
My man,
on Friday night.
Man, that's something I would have done at that age.
Yeah, I know. He's like, was he 16? I think he said. So it's one of those things that like that was a good father son trip for them. And I know Dwayne loves tabletop gaming. I mean, loves tabletop gaming of all kinds. So,
nice.
So that's another thing that even he had talked about. The last, because he went down 2 years ago. I was supposed to go with him 2 years ago, and I got sick. And I was like, I woke up that morning sick to my stomach, and I was like, I do not want to spend
4
hours in a car. Like, hey, can we stop this next exit? Can we stop this next exit? Type stuff. So I wound up not going. But that was when he came back. He kept talking about, like, man, I love that just for the tabletop. He's like, yeah, I'll go over into the arcade, but the tabletop stuff is the, I'm like, that's cool. It's become more and more gaming rather than. I think that's why they changed the name from the game room to just the gaming.
Yeah,
because that way it encompasses everything.
Yeah, it's for all games,
right? And
which was pretty cool. Of course, as soon as we get there, Alan's pointing out where all the D&D die are. It's like, Dave, don't you need some more D&D die? I was like,
yeah, I was being a bad influence on Dave. To his credit, he did not purchase any, but I saw the gleam in your eye a couple of times where you were just like...
When we were in the downstairs RPG room, and that guy had that table set up with those incredible hand-tooled...
I know you were just like...
There were like 4 or 5 sets I wanted, but the cheapest set on the table was like $32.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. So I know even like at the end when we were leaving and we went over and bought T-shirts and they had some like
they had a set of 6-side die that were specifically
branded,
for the gaming convention.
And I was like get them. I kept going get them.
No, I held strong. I literally only came home with a T-shirt.
Have you tried it on yet?
I have. I wore it all day yesterday.
I wore mine yesterday too.
And I found out the hard way that the Southern Fried Gaming were the initials glow in the dark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I went into my bedroom and I turned the light out for something.
And it was like, oh, whoa.
It was like, my T-shirt's glowing.
Well, it was funny because the T-shirts that we got. Originally, Dave was going to get the one that I wound up buying, and I was originally going to get the one Dave wound up buying. And
here's the problem. As a fat guy, there's only certain sizes. Well, they actually had, which is unusual.
That they had your size.
That they had 5Xs and they had 6Xs. Well, I'm a 5XLT. I've got to have the length.
Think about
the
demographic. I mean, and I don't say that disparagingly, but sometimes stereotypes kind of hold up, and
hi, I'm Dave, and I'm a fat guy that likes to game.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the tall, you have to go the next size up to get the length. So I got the 6XL, and I wanted the mad scientist surrounded by the video games,
right,
which they didn't have any of that size left.
And
Alan got it.
And so I wound up buying it because I can wear a large, and it was just like, okay, cool.
Start leaving Twinkies laying around when I come over here to record the podcast.
But it was in the other one that you got though had the Phoenix on it, which was really cool, which I really liked. I'll tell you the thing. It's a black T-shirt.
It's a black T-shirt.
We'll put pictures on our Instagram of
it's got super bright colors on it, so it's meant to be a black light T-shirt.
And it's cool because I really like that. But I have so many black T-shirts already that I was kind of like, and they had like a purple that I was like, I don't really like that.
No.
That particular shade of purple. I don't have a problem with purple generally, but that shade was a little too much for me. And then they had a blue one, but I think that was only a woman's shirt though. Because I kept looking at it, I was like, no.
It was like a periwinkle or something.
Yeah, and so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna get the black one, because I didn't want to get. I started really like eyeing that mad scientist one. And I was like, I'm not going to get the same shirt that Dave gets, and I know he's excited about that one. So whenever they said that they didn't have it, I'm like, well, then give me the red one.
Yeah. Disadvantages of being the fat guy.
Well, they sold out.
Yeah,
that's the difference, though. I mean, it's they sold out of that size, so it wasn't like it wasn't offered.
I knew I should have got it the second we got
at the very beginning, but again,
I didn't want to carry it around the entire show.
I saw several things that I wanted to purchase that I was like, I don't want to carry this around.
Yeah,
this is no, I don't want to carry this around everywhere.
Yeah,
so
I was the same way.
And do you remember the name of that place now?
It was Circus Maximus in Buford, Georgia.
Buford. Thank you very much. There you go.
See, that's why I did all the mnemonic.
There you go.
Mnemonic tie on it.
There you go. So I'm gonna have to go check out their website because they had a couple of cool things.
You just got them a free plug.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
I know. Circus Maximus in Buford, Georgia. So they had some really cool stuff that they were selling. They had these handmade. It looked like they were handmade. They were metal signs
that lit up.
But they weren't just metal signs. They were metal like
arcade signs.
But they said like arcade, but they were like the marquee signs,
the big arrow,
with the big
where
arrow,
it
had lights on the outside of them and stuff. And it said like arcade. And there was one of them that said game room downstairs, and I was just like, oh, I want one of those for my house. And, but again, and it wasn't even the price because they were only like $50, which is not that bad. And I was like,
didn't want to have to carry
I just don't
around.
have to carry it with me. Is the only problem. And several things like that. Now,
and if we could have parked closer, we could have made trips to the car.
Yeah, I guess we could have anyway. But I just, man, I don't know.
Waste of time.
Yeah, there's that.
This is why we need to go down and actually do 3 days. So we just
at least
carry
2 days.
Yeah,
I'm all for like maybe going down on Saturday and coming back on Sunday. I'd
be willing to take a day off work and go down on a Friday and come back on a Saturday.
I'll tell you why I say go down Saturday.
Okay.
And you come back Sunday is because I know this from experience. A lot of times, conventions and stuff like that, the vendors on Sunday are like, I don't want to carry this back with me. Oh, and so you can kind of get some better deals on stuff.
That's a good point.
That's
a good point.
I have done that plenty of times at flea markets and go in on a Sunday late, and people are like, I don't want to carry this back to wherever, and so you can get some pretty decent deals on some stuff. So
yep.
Also, it was my cousin Anna was there, and her boyfriend Jackson, who I finally got to meet, and Dave and him geeked out on computer stuff for a while.
A little bit. We debated and kind of mourned the fact that you can't find a graphics card
exactly.
Right now.
But that's kind of cool. That's one of those. Anna is, she's 20 in her early 20s, and she is a legit geek girl.
Worked at an arcade.
Worked at an arcade for a summer. Like as long back as I can remember, she's been playing games and is good at them. Yeah, pretty much. And really into like all the the MCU and Harry Potter and like and all that stuff as well. So it's I did a good job.
Did a good job raising her,
even from a distance. So it's but it was fun. It was good seeing her and her boyfriend, and I hopefully they are subscribed now. So hi Anna and Jackson.
Now you get to hear all the dirty secrets.
I apologize right now. You get to hear all kinds of stuff you never wanted to know about me. So, and then we also met the guys at the GenX Grown Up.
GenX Grown Up, which is another podcast that you should check out.
I know that we have plugged them on here before.
Yep.
And they've been around for a while. Like, was it 5 years or so? I think they said it was. And I personally discovered GenX Grown Up about 3.5 years ago, something like that. It was one of those things that I was going through. It was before we started doing this, and it was one of those I was going through my podcast, my catcher, my app, and I was going through. I was trying to find stuff Generation X, and so I like put in, I was like Gen X, whatever, and it was one of the ones that came up near the top of the list.
Sure.
What you need, buddy?
Is it gas?
It is, isn't it? Awesome. You okay? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He had to come show me his gas toy, so it's
nice.
You'll hear him pop in from time to time because he's 7 and does that. So, I had found them through that and started listening. I'm like, oh yeah, and especially their backtrack stuff. I listened to all of their episodes. I really
let's talk
love
about their podcast and what they do a little bit, because it's 3 guys. It's Mo and John and George.
Right.
George, who I agree with about 50% of the time. Sorry, George. But when I agree with him, I vehemently agree with George. He's right. And they talk about tech. They talk about,
although he is completely wrong about Chuck E. Cheese. Showbiz Pizza is the superior pizza place.
We're evidently team Showbiz here. And,
yes, we are. And he is team Chuck E. Cheese.
So well, he had the big 2-story Chuck E. Cheese where he was. So they talk about tech and movies and just a little bit of everything. And they've got a YouTube page. they'd cover a wide variety of things.
Yes, and they do every other week. Like one week they'll talk about all that stuff, and then the next week they'll do what they call a backtrack, where they'll take one subject, and they have done stuff about arcades before. They've done all kinds of stuff. Anyways,
the Donkey Kong episode.
Yeah, because of the 40th anniversary of Donkey Kong just happened this summer, which 40 years. I love that game, but I'm terrible at it.
Oh,
I get killed like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, but I had discovered them then. But what was funny is that within a very short amount of time, like maybe a couple months of me discovering them, one of the other podcasts I listened to, Laser Time, had them on as guests.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was one of those things where Chris Antista, who runs the Laser Time stuff, he had just moved back home to Florida and apparently had discovered them in the meantime and was like, no, this would be great to have them on.
Yeah.
And so they did a crossover episode there. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, these guys, I already liked them, and now, they're guesting on other shows that I like. So, hey,
Yeah.
And so I've been with them ever since then, and I told Dave about them a while back.
I know
we have called them out on here before, as hey, go listen to these guys.
Yeah.
So, and again, we'll have a link to their stuff in the show notes. Well, we finally got to meet them in person.
We did.
They are largely responsible for us being on Discord as well. So
I blame those three for us being on Discord and my new addiction.
There you go. And Dave fell in, jumped in.
Hard.
Both feet, it's
hard.
But it was really nice actually getting to meet those guys in person and
putting
talking
faces
to the voices, and
they actually did a panel on growing up in the arcade.
Right,
that was a lot of fun and extremely entertaining.
It was, and but yeah, so we got to meet them, and what I know you were, because you love pinball. You love pinball. Okay?
I'm guilty.
But they didn't have the pinball machine that you wanted to play.
No, they didn't. And I'm going to have to hunt around town to find it. My favorite pinball machine overall is Addams Family.
And it's a good one. Now, there are two different versions of it. One of them has the thing and one of them doesn't.
Yeah.
And
I need the one with
the thing. Yeah, because it was at one point the thing comes out and grabs the ball and throws it back in, and it goes into multi-ball. So
that was the one that was in the bowling alley,
right,
up north of here where I finished growing up at, and there were many nights where I would get insomnia and I couldn't sleep, and so I would just drive up to the bowling alley
play pinball
with a $10 bill,
right,
and hit the change machine. Of course, to quote the guys from GenX Grown Up, it's like winning the lottery.
Right,
when all those coins hit the cup.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was.
But I would play that forever.
I played the Comet, Ride the Comet. Which it's a roller coaster game, and there are two different ones, and they had both of them there. One of them is got more ramps on it than the other one, that kind of stuff. My story with that is, I went on vacation with my parents one year, and it was just me and my parents, and I was probably 11 or 12 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And the hotel that we stayed in, I think we were in North Carolina. I'm almost positive we were in North Carolina. If it wasn't North Carolina, was it? Yeah, it was North Carolina. It was either North Carolina or South Carolina, one of the two. That we were in one of the Carolinas.
The Carolinas.
We were in the Carolinas somewhere.
Eating that mustard barbecue.
No.
Okay, we've just established he's a vinegar barbecue guy.
No, I like all types of barbecue. The mustard I'm okay with. The vinegar I'm okay with. The one barbecue that I will not abide.
The mayonnaise
is the minced barbecue. I will not abide that. I will not abide minced barbecue.
That's not barbecue.
No, it's not. It's got to be pulled.
Yeah,
I mean that's no ifs, ands, buts about it. If it, no pun intended. But if it's not pulled pork, it ain't real pork. It's like
easy.
But anyway, they in the hotel that we were in, there was it wasn't even a game room. They just had a pinball machine down where the pool was there. And then, but it was kind of like they advertised like an atrium, but it wasn't really. It was basically the pool was like indoor, outdoor. Where it was like half the pool.
A pool and a couple of Coke machines.
Well, yeah, and there was a what's the word I'm looking for? Hot tub that was in there. But it was one of those where like the pool was half inside and half outside. You could swim underneath, and go through, outside and inside, that kind of stuff. But in there was a pinball machine, and it was that Comet, Ride the Comet, and so I played that thing all week long. Obviously, from what Dave saw this weekend, it did not rub off because I sucked at it when I was playing it this time. And
you were rusty to the point of needing an oil can.
Yeah, it was bad. Now, my other pinball story about that is in the mid-'90s, I made the mistake of going with my parents to Gatlinburg for a week.
Oh, the arcade at Gatlinburg.
That was in the but it wasn't just because there were a couple of different arcades in Gatlinburg.
The good one was right there under the needle.
That's the one I went to.
That's the good one.
And they had the Creature from the Black Lagoon machine.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I spent that, and that was.
Did they have one of those?
They did not have one down there this weekend.
I was going to say,
matter of
I
fact,
didn't see
every time
one.
I've been there, they have not had one. I even asked at one point, but the people who brought them in, and he was like, "Man, those things are collector's items now. Like,
wow,
you just don't see them very often." He's like, and the people that do have them generally don't bring them out to stuff like this.
Yeah.
And believe me, if I ever hit the lottery,
you're buying one.
I
of
will
those?
buy one.
See, if you hit the lottery, I'm going to need you to buy me an Adams.
Yeah. So I will probably have like a whole game room if I ever hit the lottery, like legitimately, like pinball and classic arcade, cabinets and stuff. Since we don't really have a format for this, I want to go into I have thought about this.
Here we go.
A little too much about if I hit the lottery, what I would do.
Sure.
Legitimately, I would build a skating rink / arcade. And I'm not talking about like outside. I'm talking about like on my property.
Sure.
And it would be free for any of the kids to come in and skate and play arcade games and stuff.
In the panel,
and I would have a snack bar with the icy machine and the slush puppy machine,
the personal
and all
pan pizzas,
and it would all be free.
Yeah,
and it would.
And we take turns DJing.
Yeah, exactly. And
See,
it's a DJ booth
in the panel. They ask where were your first video games and all that. Well, growing up, I didn't.
Arcade was one of them too. That I'm not arcade, but skating rink was one of the things I thought about also.
And I didn't want to butt in on their panel, so I just sat over there quiet. But where I really first encountered video games, so of course everybody at Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah.
There was always the cafe, Mrs. Pac-Man.
Right.
The jukebox. But the skating rink in Kentucky, you had to drive out to the skating rink was on the very edge of town. It was skating rink, movie theater.
Right.
There was nothing past that. And that skating rink, Mom would bring us and drop me and my two sisters off. And he's like, okay, go skating. And I would have a little extra money, or I would end up, getting my skates, but I would spend the entire time on my skates
playing video games. I know.
Centipede was a big one.
I know.
Centipede was a huge one.
That was
I would play a lot.
the Rivergate State Skate Center, which is still open up here. That was where I discovered Spy Hunter.
Oh,
because they had a Spy Hunter machine, and I used to play that one quite a bit.
Centipede, Galaga, Mrs. Pac-Man. That's where I got fairly decent at Asteroids.
Nice. Yeah.
That's where I got good enough at Asteroids, because those Asteroids came from all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you had Asteroids on Atari. Did you know that once you got to a certain amount of points on your score, it would flip it over?
Right.
I got to where I could flip that thing over 2 and 3 times in a sitting.
Nice. But yeah, that's those going and finding those machines. Of course, like I said, I got to play Comet a little bit. I know you got to play what was it, Mandalorian? There was a whole bunch of new machines.
There was a company there called Marco's.
Yes,
Marco. I don't know if they're a company that rents them out or they make them.
I think they might. I don't know, because the thing is that it was either Williams or Bally's that had the tent that was up there with them,
but
and that was where all of they had
all the new pinball machines there. They had the new Mandalorian machine,
the Stranger Things
machine. It was okay. I didn't dig that one as much.
Yeah.
There was really nothing out in the middle to keep that ball from going straight down and wasting your quarter. So it was a quarter suck machine.
Right.
That's exactly what it was. But people are going to play it
because they also had.
Oh, you can shoot the ball at the Gorgon.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But they also had.
But Mandalorian, that was a great machine, and you didn't get to see that one.
I didn't get to play that one now.
I played. They had 6 or 7 of them.
They were always busy.
They were always
busy.
And all of a sudden, one of them opened up. And I played through it once, and I turned around, and there wasn't a line behind me. So I played it again.
Right.
And set the multi-ball off twice.
Nice.
And game was over. I turned around. I looked around. There was no line behind me.
Played again,
So I played it again.
That's when I was over playing Dig Dug. I know you stayed away for a while. So.
And I hit multi-ball on that one several times.
Yeah. I know we also played, there were a couple of different Led Zeppelin.
Those were actually pretty good.
I liked it. Overall, I liked them quite a bit.
They had Zeppelin and they had
Zeppelin 3. I think they had Zeppelin 1, 2, and 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And it was one of those things where there wasn't a whole lot of difference between them. There was a couple little things here and there.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was that they had pictures of the group.
And that video and music.
But I'm talking about like on the play field.
Yeah.
The pictures were from that when, like, the ones like what we played, which was on the Led Zeppelin 1.
Yeah.
Those pictures was like from 68.
Yeah.
And then the pictures that was on Zeppelin 3 was from like 71.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where, or 70 or whatever it was. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, I get that they're kind of, but the thing is that like all the ramps and everything were the same.
Yeah.
But like, there was that riser in the middle of the one we were playing, that wasn't on the 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was, I noticed that there were some little differences between the two, The
little riser thing was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. The other one that you played.
Oh, no.
Okay, here we go.
I want one of these.
I know, Dave fell in love.
They had 2 of these machines, and the line for these machines were 7 and 8 deep all day Saturday. I wanted to play it more than twice.
Right.
But it was Halloween.
Right.
It's a
John Carpenter's Halloween.
Brand new John Carpenter's Halloween pinball machine.
Right.
That I want one of these for my house.
I think those were actually done a couple of years ago.
Were they?
For the 40th anniversary. So I guess that was 3 years ago. But see, the thing is there wasn't one last year.
Yeah.
So, I think, and the only reason I say that is because I noticed one of the guys that was over there around that was wearing a Halloween 40th anniversary shirt, and I think it wasn't the movie. I think it was actually the pinball shirt. Yeah, I could be wrong about that, but they were really cool though. I mean, they were really cool. There was also an Aerosmith that they had.
Yeah. They had a Guardians of the Galaxy.
There was a Guardian of the Galaxy.
To play.
Yeah, that was always mobbed also.
Yeah.
I'm trying
to think.
There
was Jurassic Parks that were always mobbed.
Yeah, there was a couple. There was several of them over there that I kept looking at them. I was like, I'm not going to go get in line for that.
Yeah.
Oh, there was an Avengers. There was an Avengers that they had also.
I didn't get to play that
those
one
guys.
either,
those guys are there every year with their newest. Like they did a Metallica a few years ago, and they did a. They had an AC/DC that they did a couple years ago. So
I could go and just spend a day doing pinball.
Oh yeah,
by myself.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I found that I loved, although I didn't play it. And I don't know if I've got it, and I will definitely put the picture of this up on the Instagram because you just have to see the buttons on this thing.
Oh, I know exactly.
The Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is a game that I loved back in the Sega Genesis days. Now I know it was on the SNES and it was on the Sega Genesis. Okay.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved that game and had it for years and years and years and would go back and play it, from time to time. Now it was hard as everything. And this was also, there were no saves.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things that like you would get to a certain point and they would give you a code that you would that you could put in at the beginning to where you could jump straight to that level or whatever, But the thing is that you wouldn't have any of your weapons or anything that you had accumulated by that point. So you were basically jumping like to level 8 or 10, and you needed everything that you had had before, or else you were just going to die immediately, And it's this great 1950s-esque horror, like top-down video, like 8 or a 16-bit game.
Nice.
Where it's like there's one level where it's like a giant toddler, like he's wearing like a diaper and he's got a bottle, and like he'll come around and like shoot milk at you from his bottle or step on you type stuff, and there's one that's like there's one level that's inside of a pyramid, and so you have to like watch out for mummies and werewolves and different, and it's that type of stuff. There's one that's kind of an invasion of the body snatchers type thing. There's one, and so basically what it is you have to go through every level and try to save your neighbors from being eaten by all this stuff.
Ooh, I can think of neighbors I would push into the monsters.
And it's a lot of fun, and I loved the game back in the day.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it's hard, but the thing is when I looked at the at the play board, like at the control board. I was like, how many buttons did they put on this thing? Because you had to have like, a few buttons.
Well, I think it was a controller and 6 buttons, wasn't it?
It's something like that. But I was just like,
because I remember seeing player 1, player 2 buttons. I remember there being 2 joysticks, and each joystick had a combo of 6 buttons.
There's 6 buttons, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. There's 8 buttons.
There's 8.
There's 2 rows of 3, and then there's 2 more up at the top.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there's red and blue, and that's because I'm looking at the picture of it right now. The thing is, I love that for multiple reasons. One, because they decided that they were going to put that on, because that was never an arcade game.
Sure.
But that's something that somebody worked up. Yeah, it is, buddy. Get your Slinky dog.
Oh, now we got Toy Story.
Yeah, we got Toy Story.
He has a green collar.
He does have a green collar, doesn't he?
His neck.
Uh-huh. All right.
Nice.
Thank you for sharing that with us. He's something else, man.
He's cool.
He is. So it was one of those things that was something that somebody was a workup that someone did.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, that's, I guess, kind of awesome. But the other thing, and I told Dave this, is Limited Run Games just did a limited run, like a pre-order for Zombies Ate My Neighbors on modern consoles.
Oh, really?
But it also there was a sequel game called Ghoul Patrol that was only on the Super Nintendo. It never made its way over to the Genesis, and that's a really hard game to come.
Sure.
I mean, it's one that like not a whole lot of people bought, and plus the fact it doesn't say Zombies Ate My Neighbors 2 or anything on it. So, but the thing is that what the limited run games is Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol.
Oh, really nice.
And so it
what
just so
system
happened.
Did you buy it for?
I got it for the Switch because that's.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's what. Yeah. And so, but it was one of those things that, again, I was literally sitting in the airport getting ready to fly to Vegas, and I was there with Brody and Dwayne, and we were talking, and something came up. I forget exactly. He's like, "Oh, did you see the limited run has the pre-order for Zombies Ate My Neighbors?" And like literally my neck like snapped around like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, it's Zombies Ate My Neighbors Ghoul Patrol," and he's like, "I think the pre-order's still going through Sunday." I'm like. So I'm getting on my phone.
Yep.
I'm going and pre-ordering this thing, and it's like,
you gotta let me know when it shows up.
I will.
I've never played this game, so I have to try it.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's as broken as I remember it being. I'm hoping that they, that they fix some of the, the problems with it back in the day, especially the save points. I really hope they put save points on it because otherwise, that game it's hard. So
Defender.
Hi, Slinky dog.
He has a green collar.
He does have a green collar.
On his neck.
Yes, he does. Is he being a good dog?
He has a spring in his tail.
He does. He's got a spring in his middle, too. He's got a slinky. That's why he's a slinky dog.
The string falls apart.
Oh, no.
He doesn't have a string.
No, I guess he's just running wild, isn't he?
He falls apart.
Oh, he'll be okay.
I know exactly how he feels.
Yeah, I believe me. Daddy knows how he feels, too. You going to take him with you?
Yeah.
Okay, have fun. When you get a string for him? Okay, he needs a string for his slinky dog.
For a slinky dog.
So,
nice.
Yeah, he discovered Toy Story. Yeah, buddy.
I got find his string.
All right. End of last school year, they watched Toy Story 4 at school, and he has just been Toy Story obsessed ever since. So, so it's I've got him all the 1, 2, 3, and 4 as well as Toy Story of Terror, and they're all on his iPad so he can watch them. And
I need to find a string.
okay, you go look for his string, okay?
For Slinky dog?
Yeah, you go find it. And so yeah, he started off with Forky. That was like his big thing to begin with.
No.
And then it went from there, and Slinky Dog became the thing.
With Forky?
Forky was the first. They watched 4 first, so it was, I know.
Still.
I know.
Then I found.
You found him? Okay.
I couldn't find it.
Okay. Well, you go look, okay? All right. So he will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about it. And of course, he's still into Minecraft. He's gone through, he went through SpongeBob at one point. Like, he was on this huge SpongeBob thing. He really loved Gary the snail. That was like his big thing.
Okay.
And then he was on, what was it after that?
Is he still running through his Mario phase?
Oh, he's never stopped with Mario.
Okay, good.
But Minecraft became a thing, and like that's the only game he plays now.
I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't either
My,
at all.
my wife's little cousins.
He will sit and play for hours at a time and watch like videos of other people playing it on YouTube and stuff. And I'm like, I don't get this. I do not get it.
My wife's cousins between Minecraft and then Fortnite. I'm like,
He started talking about Among Us at one point, and I don't get what Among Us is. I don't
think I've even heard of that one.
I want to say
I suddenly feel very old.
I know, and I don't know, but I did find out that it's an online thing. Like you have to play with other people online. I'm like, yeah, you're not doing that. So
yeah,
buddy.
Look at him.
I know. Can you give me and David a little bit of time? Okay.
It's a dog.
It is a dog. It's your slinky dog. I know.
He's going to sleep.
Oh, he's going to sleep. Okay.
Look at him.
Oh, look, Hardy Dog wants you to love on her. So,
Oh, hey.
all right. Why don't you take the doggies in the other room? Okay.
Come on.
Go doggies. Go with Xander. All right, whatever. They're not going to listen. But Lego became a thing.
yeah.
And I have found out not just how expensive Legos are, but like when he was going through his big SpongeBob phase, he's like, I want Lego SpongeBob, SpongeBob Lego, whatever. Well, they don't make SpongeBob Lego sets any longer.
Ooh.
And the aftermarket on those things
It's
are
huge.
ridiculous. I was
Yeah.
like, no. And even now with like the Toy Story stuff, they don't make. There's not very much Toy Story Lego stuff that's available, and the aftermarket is huge. And I keep telling him, I was like, dude, why is it that you keep getting into this stuff like a couple of years after it's not on the market any longer? Go with something current.
Well, I've got a bunch of sets I haven't even started putting together yet. I've got a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy. I've got one Batman, and then for Christmas, my wife, you know me, Fast and the Furious movies are kind of my popcorn movie. She got me the big Techniques. Oh, that's really cool. She got me the great big Techniques Dom's Charger.
Oh yeah,
set.
I've seen that.
It's like the 1,000+
I
adult
know. And those are
version.
expensive too.
Yeah, they're really expensive, and it's sitting next to my chair, and I'm sitting there watching TV. I just pat the box and go, if I can get
One
to the
of these
table,
days, one day.
Yeah. Those are really
I put
cool.
these down here, and again, I will put these on our Instagram page because I love every year. Lego does, and they do it for all different holidays, but they do special Halloween sets.
Yeah.
And this year's Halloween sets, there was 2 of them. One of them they come with, and they're basically ornaments because they come with strings. One of them is a spider, and one of them is a mini haunted house, which I absolutely love.
Oh, turn that sideways. I didn't get a good picture of that one.
And then the other one is a Halloween owl, which there's not a whole lot of Halloween to him. I mean, it's really more of like a fall owl, but it actually says Halloween owl on the side of it because they have like a I'm trying to think something like they have like an actual Easter bunny, and they have
cool.
and they have like a Valentine's bear or something like that. It's one of those things like they're still available also. So it's one of those things that this one probably will not be as exclusive to the season as there's a turkey for Thanksgiving and that kind of stuff. But I love these because like I've got last year's over here also, and I'll be honest. As far as the Lego ornaments go, I like this year's better than last year's. Because last year's it was a jack-o'-lantern
and a bat.
Yeah, and a bat.
I can
That's
see
right.
him over
They're
your
right there.
shoulder.
But the other one, well, I'll have to find
it's
because he's been
Frankenstein.
playing with. Well, the Frankenstein one's available all the time.
Oh, okay.
That's in there. What they call I think it's like Big Heads collection. So there's a whole bunch of different ones of them. They do.
Okay.
Like they put one out this year that was like Statue of Liberty, and they do like different like they have like Disney ones and stuff like that. But they did that one that Frankenstein did release last year.
Yeah.
But it actually released way before the holiday.
Oh,
So it was kind of
okay.
one of those like, okay, I kind of hoped they would go ahead and do some other of the Universal monsters.
Yeah, that would
but
be
they
cool.
haven't. But
It'd be cool if they do them in like a big set.
Yeah, it
like
really
in a
would be.
graveyard or something.
Lego has just released a whole bunch of really cool stuff that are like, there's a Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like one of their creator, like the big, and it's like $200 or something like that. There's also a Winnie the Pooh, like there's Pooh Corner, like the 100 Acre Woods, and there's a few things like that. They've got several of them that I really love, and I was like, I really wish they would do a haunted house. Now, I know that they did one a couple of years ago that's still available, but it is in that $250, $300 range. And I'll be honest, I don't like it as much as I want to.
You know, it would be kind of cool if they did put out. There's two that I could see them for possibly doing that they'll never do. Witches of Eastwick with the big house and all that.
Okay.
I mean, they've done Friends.
They might.
So why not?
Yeah, and they just did Seinfeld also.
And Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, I would love to see one of those. I would buy Sanderson Sisters with all the stuff, And again, with it being Disney, and they have a license with Disney already, I can't imagine why they wouldn't do that. One that they just released that really, again, snapped my head around when I was at the Lego store with them last week when I saw it, and I was like, I don't have an extra $300 to throw at Legos.
What was it?
The Daily Bugle from Spider-Man.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
This thing is probably 3 foot tall. Okay, it's the building.
I can see why you would want that, being the Spider-Man fan that you are.
But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that it had like the Spider-Man, and all that kind of stuff. It has a whole bunch of the characters, but the thing that got me right off the bat at the very top of it, it comes with a Firestar figure, and I was like, That's now. What was funny is there was a Firestar, but there wasn't an Iceman. And I figure it's probably a license. Well, actually, no. Disney owns all of them now, so they should be able to do that. I'm surprised there wasn't an Iceman in there also. That way, you get Spider-Man and his amazing friends, stuff.
Yeah.
But just the fact that there was a Firestar, I was like, I'm not paying $300 just to get a little minifig of Firestar. So.
I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised you don't have a Spider-Man tattoo at this point.
Yeah. Well, don't think I haven't thought about it. But I don't know what I would do, honestly. It's kind of time to get Pac-Man retouched. Well, Pac-Man needed to be retouched. I knew that I was going to have to go back and get that one retouched being on my elbow because I was told that up front. You're going to have to come back in for this.
Yeah.
And I just haven't yet. Now, we are getting ready to end October, and I have a tendency to go somewhere around Halloween and get a tattoo. 2 years ago, I got this pumpkin tattoo, and last year I got this flaming skull tattoo. So I'm like, okay, so what's the next one going to be?
I still dig the pumpkin tattoo. It's the Green Goblin.
Well, it's not, though.
It's not. It looks like the Green Goblin.
It looks
pumpkin.
a lot like the pumpkin bombs, but it's not. That's the... I literally gave Jason a picture of this really cool pumpkin that I found that was on a legit pumpkin that someone had They had something in there because it actually had green flames coming out of it and stuff, and it was all right, this is cool the way that they did it, And I gave him that, and I was like, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but this is kind of what I want. And so he drew this. Nice. And it looks enough like a pumpkin bomb that I'm like, yeah, it could be a pumpkin bomb.
I really like that one.
So, and this one, I have gotten so many compliments on this flaming skull. Even recently, people are like, man, the colors look so good on that. It's like, yeah, it's because I don't get out in the sun. It's like, I am white as white can be. So
we ought to have your buddy Jason on the show.
We really do need to get him on here. He's getting ready to open a new shop here. Yeah, he's moving to this side. He's moving out of East Nashville and over here. So
maybe we
could definitely get him on. I've already talked to him about it. Believe me.
Take the equipment over there and do it from his shop before he opens.
Might be able to.
That would be cool.
But I know they're working hard right now to get the shop open. It's called I think it's Moonbase Tattoo is the name of it. Hold on. I'm excited for him, because and the thing is where he has been at Electric Hand, he's been there for over a decade. And he's done really well there, with them, being in all that and everything. Yeah. And really built his clientele as well. But I'm also happy to see him
do his own thing.
Going off on his doing his own thing. What is the name? I think it's Moonbase. Hold on.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
Look.
What is that? Is that a Minecraft wolf?
No, it's a dog.
It's a dog? It's not. Are you sure it's not a wolf?
Yeah, it's a dog.
Okay. It is a dog, is what I'm hearing.
Evidently.
Mooncastle Tattoo, that's the name of it. I knew it was Moon something, which again goes back to you know, my very first tattoo is of a moon, a lady on a moon, you know. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, it's kismet, you know, in some ways. Plus, it's always fun, you know, because, I mean, like I said, I've known Jason for, God, a long time. And so it's one of those things that we will, I'll go in, you know, like I'll get in touch with him, like, hey, man, I'm ready to, you know, put some more ink on. He's like, all right, yeah, come on over, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so for 2 hours, we just sit and like shoot the bull for 2 hours while it's like I'm giving him money, he's giving me, you know, ink, and we get to catch up. So it's
nice. Nice.
So that's all. That is pretty cool. Yeah, and I've got to, you know, I did last year. I pretty much did this entire arm.
You finished out your sleeve.
I finished out my sleeve on one arm, and so it's time to do the other. You know, it's time to really kind of get onto that one and get that one done. And I'm pretty much going to be done at that point, so I'm not real big on the rest of them. So.
2 sleeves and let it go.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I might get some work done on my chest. You know, maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It kind of depends on the mood, I guess.
And then there's me who has zero ink,
I know it's
because at this point, with everybody and their mother getting a tattoo, it's almost more punk rock to not have any ink or piercings or anything like that.
You keep telling yourself that. So
I'm just saying.
But yeah, I know this is one of we're going all the way around the bend on this. You know,
we started out talking about a gaming convention, and now it's tattoos.
Legos and tattoos and
Which, isn't there a tattoo convention coming up here in Nashville at some point?
I think Lone Wolf having theirs.
Up?
I don't know if they've already had it or if it's coming up.
I always forget when it is.
I know there is one. There's a cool.
Just because I don't have any,
is it?
I don't
what is it? Is it
want
Lone Wolf? No, it's what's the?
It's Full Moon Tattoo.
Full Moon.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Over in Hermitage, where they bought the old theater.
Yeah,
and they have
a haunted house and they have a dinner theater.
Yes,
to where you go in, you watch horror movies, and you have dinner while you're watching horror movies.
And then of course they have the tattoo shop.
Yeah.
You know, and all that stuff, which I think that's brilliant. I think that is brilliant.
Evidently, he does some little indie films and all that too, because he came over and like talked to some of the some of our art students on you know what he does and all that. I had to run audio for it, so I got to sit in on it, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Yeah, I still need to go over there one of these. That is one of those that every time I'm over that way, I'm like, I need to stop in there just to stop in, you know.
I'm never in the Hermitage area,
right?
So I never have an excuse to.
It's like, I'm telling you, every time I'm over there and I drive by there, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go in there, and I still have
like a pretty decent gaming.
I think so.
Store over there.
Oh
too?
Yeah, Games Extraordinaire is over there, or GameKeep. GameKeep's over there.
What we may have to do is I may just have to come over on a Saturday and we just go over and check it out.
Nerd.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I never denied that. I admit I'm a geek.
But we are also moving in to the most wonderful time of the year. Is not that far away. All right, look, here's the thing. As we are recording this, and when this will go up, today is August the 23rd.
Yes.
Okay. We are 8 days from the start of the spooky season.
Yes.
Because Matt from Dinosaur Dracula officially a couple of years ago declared the beginning of Halloween season as September 1st.
What are you talking about? I started putting stuff out like in the middle of the month.
I still have all my stuff up from last year. I never took mine down. So
my support Halloween magnet has been on the refrigerator.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to go find mine so I can put it back on my car.
You don't know where it is?
I know where it is. I just had to dig it out. It's a thing. But yeah, I mean, I still have like window clings and all that kind of stuff from Halloween still on both my doors.
You know what today is? Today is the special countdown to Halloween.
Oh, it is?
Today is 69 days.
69 days. Nice.
Halloween.
We are 69 days away from Halloween. And I really hope it goes better than last year. So.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, with COVID and everything.
We had a great trick-or-treat at our house.
We still did. Like, we took Xander out.
Yeah.
On, Halloween night. Yeah, buddy.
Look.
Oh yeah, there he is. There's your Minecraft doggy.
He has a red collar.
He does have a red collar, doesn't he?
His name is Barney.
His name is Barney. Apparently, he's been telling me about Barney for a week now.
I thought he was purple and sang.
No, different Barney.
Okay,
this is a Minecraft wolf that he thinks is a dog. So.
Or wears a suit and drinks too much.
Yeah, well,
I guess that's a totally different Barney.
There you go, Barney Miller.
Oh, I forgot about Barney Miller.
Barney Miller, yeah,
that's a good one.
Wojciechowicz. I'll never forget that name as long as I live.
Fish
and Wojciechowicz. Yeah, and that's.
But no, we had what we did is because of COVID, because everybody was kind of freaking out about it. It turned out to be a nice night on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So I drug the fire pit around to the front yard, set the fire pit up. We got a fire going, and I've got a little small projector.
Yeah.
And I hung a canvas drop cloth off the front porch and set my little singer-songwriter PA system behind that canvas. And we showed Universal monster movies in the front lawn.
That's,
during trick-or-treating. And at one point, we had a bunch of kids sitting in the grass watching the movie.
Yeah, and that's...
I had parents stopping by and sitting in the extra seats and watching the movies.
Those Universal monster movies are so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just... And they've held... And they're family-friendly.
Yep. Which is why I chose them.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. But it's like, you sit and watch them, and it's like, man, I get movie studios wanting to remake stuff because they think, oh, well, it's got a name recognition and, whatever. Okay, I get that. All right. The problem is that, like, in the 90s, especially, we had remakes, was it Francis Ford Coppola did Dracula?
Yeah.
And it's
Keanu Reeves.
It's not that
it's
good.
campy. It's not very
that good.
campy.
The thing is, I was really excited for it to come out.
Well, when I saw it was going to be Gary Oldman.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing.
Wow.
I was really, and the fact that what's his name plays Van Helsing.
Van Helsing. I can't think of the actor's name.
Not Dennis Hopper. Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
Anthony Hopkins plays Van Helsing. It was one of those where I sat there and I was like, I am looking forward to this because this should be good. It's Francis Ford Coppola. It's,
it should be.
It's going to be very cinematic, and that movie is gorgeous. It's just not a very good movie.
No.
Okay. And there are some really good acting in there. There's a lot of stuff that happens like, what the hell was that? Like,
Yeah.
what does this have to do with anything? And then remember, a few years later, Kenneth Branagh did Frankenstein,
which I really enjoyed, actually.
You know what? I enjoyed that movie for everything except for the monster, which was Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even De Niro. It's just that, like, the monster almost seemed like it was inconsequential to the rest of the... Which I know, I've read Frankenstein. It kind of is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird... If you've never read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you need to because it's a journal. Is all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you sit there and it's written in journal entries. It'll tell the date and this and blah blah blah.
And it's
blah,
very much different from the Universal Frankenstein.
Very much.
Or even Young Frankenstein, which is
of
a great
course,
movie.
yeah. But so you got those those remakes in the 90s, and they were okay,
Well, and then you had Universal trying to do the Dark Universe thing, which is where you get the Tom Cruise The Mummy, which was terrible.
I heard was horrible. Well, it was they had
turned
been,
it off
they
halfway
had been
through
working,
the movie.
They had been working on that Wolfman movie with Del Toro for what's his name? Not Del Toro. It was Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
I
was actually really looking forward to
it, but that is one of those movies that they showed like production stills from it in like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And then it didn't come out for like 3 years.
Yep.
And apparently it got stuck in production hell because the studio kept messing with it. They originally were going to do just like all practical effects.
Yeah.
And then they wound up doing CG, and it just everybody involved in that just kind of washed their hands of it. Like, no, this is
the practical effects would have been a lot better.
And then they tried to like retroactively bring in some other, what was that, Frankenstein Unbound, and a few other of these things where it's like, dude, look, Marvel set out on the front end saying we have an outline of what we think we might do if Iron Man is successful.
Yeah.
And they waited, and Iron Man was successful, and they already had Incredible Hulk. They had these two movies that came out the same year. People always forget Incredible Hulk came out just like a month after Iron Man.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things
it's kind of a forgettable movie.
Yeah, and but it's still relevant. To the MCU.
No,
you know, it totally really is, especially with Shang-Chi coming out here, and you see the Abomination. And you all right?
I just swallowed a bug.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
Oh, boy, that totally caught me off
there you
guard.
go.
Where did that come from?
Get a little extra protein you weren't waiting for, huh?
Yeah, no joke.
But it was one of those things that they had those two movies that were set to go, and then they were kind of like, okay, well, we're going to do this over time. It was after Iron Man was so successful, they're like, okay, we're going to do this. Everybody else has jumped into this trying to retroactively, oh, well, since they built this cinematic universe, we can too. Here, we can pull this in, and we can pull this in, and we can pull it. It's like, no. That's not how this works. And notice how none of them have worked well.
Well,
none of them
Marvel
have.
did it right because they did it a brick at a time.
Exactly.
Literally.
Exactly.
And a lot of these other movie companies that are trying to build a universe like that have tried to lay the foundation all in one piece. And then nothing above that gets built.
Exactly. So I did hear that Invisible Man movie is really good. That came out, was it a year ago, whatever it was?
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, it was released in like January of 2020. It was like right before everything shut down.
That's probably why I didn't hear about it.
And it's got, what's her name? Oh, from The Handmaid's Tale. Moss. Anyway, and I have heard that it's really good. Like everybody said that it was really good, and
maybe
it's
I'll have
really
to
a lot more of like a psychological than it is like a horror movie.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how The Invisible Man was supposed to have been done anyway.
And but it's still one of those things where they even though they did that, they never really officially said this is part of the Dark Universe. They were like, if we decide to go with this, we can pull it in, but if not, then
it's just a great standalone.
Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah, there you go.
And finally, my brain clicked on it. I tell you what, she's in a movie that came out a couple of years ago called Her Smell that is really good, and it is. She plays a, for lack of a better term, a Courtney Love-esque character. She's like a female musician, who's like had troubles with bandmates and drugs and and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of a.
Is she as detestable as Courtney Love?
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I know you hate Courtney Love, so. But it's really good. Like it's one of those movies that like I watched it and I was like, why am I so anxious watching this movie? And it does the same thing that Birdman did.
I didn't see that.
You haven't seen Birdman? Okay.
No.
Both of those movies, you're going through and you're watching what's happening, like these conversations going on.
Yeah, sure.
But if you pay a close attention, there's this other voice that's like laid back in the audio track that's talking the entire time, and it's like it really gets your anxiety going. Like subliminally, because you're not really. And it was one of both of those movies where it's like, yeah, you can hear this other voice, you can't really understand what it's saying, but it's there.
Yeah,
like all the way through this movie, and it was really good. It was a really good movie. I enjoyed that, and I haven't watched any of the Handmaid's Tale stuff for
I haven't either.
A lot of reasons. And do you ever notice that any time that there's somebody shows up, the whole premise of the Handmaid's Tale, right? So the whole thing is that it's in this like.
Is it a dystopian type thing?
Yeah, and it's like fascists have taken over, and basically what it is they've taken all the young women and they've made them handmaids, and basically they're sold, they're farmed out as baby machines, for rich couples, and that kind of stuff. Every time, and the whole like with the solid red, dress type thing with the big white. Yeah. Habit looking thing, whatever. Every time that I've seen a protest somewhere where a bunch of women shows up dressed like that, I'm sitting there going, I would not want to impregnate any of these people.
Okay, that's totally out of left field, but okay.
There's my political.
Okay.
If you're gonna say that you're gonna be farmed out for as a baby machine, at least be attractive.
Okay, dear listeners, you and I are both wondering how we got to this point. So you're not alone. I'm sitting here looking at him going, what? Huh?
Anyway, so that's just the way my brain works. It's especially when I'm running on like no sleep for days now. So
back into the insomnia.
You know,
huh?
actually, dude, I crashed I got back from when we got back on Saturday, and I watched SummerSlam because apparently it was on Saturday night instead of Sunday night for some strange reason.
Oh no!
And so I crashed out and slept. Like slept all into Sunday. You know.
We got back here, and I had to get in my car and drive back to my house 30 minutes. And, of course, there was a wreck on 24, so it took forever to get home in the pouring rain and get home. Finally get into bed about 1, fall asleep. My stupid mutt wakes me up at 6 a.m.
Of course.
To go outside and go to the bathroom. And then again at 8, and then again at 9:30, and at that point I'm up. I can't sleep.
Right.
So I'm running off a little of nothing right now.
No. Okay. Well, luckily for you, we are at the end of the episode.
So,
yeah, we've reached an hour and
this is it.
Change.
This is usually everybody's favorite part.
Could be
the end where we stop talking.
So again, we have rambled for an hour and some change because that's what we do on this Project Gen X podcast.
If you haven't checked out the Southern Fried Gaming Expo yet, you need to go over to the website and check it out and get ready to go next year.
Yep,
because that's a lot of fun.
I guarantee they'll have some cool stuff.
Yep,
you'll enjoy it.
If you don't know about Grown Up Gen X or GenX Grown Up
or GenX Grown Up, we'll have links to all this stuff.
Go to the links, check those guys out, and subscribe to those guys because they've supported us, so we want to support them. So thanks, guys. No tattoos is more punk rock than tattoos now.
No, it's not.
Okay. So.
Anyways, but yeah, you can go. Also, we'll have links to our Discord, our Instagram page. Like I said, we'll have photos of some stuff.
The Facebook is kind of hanging in there.
Facebook
right
has been hanging in there all of a sudden.
We actually have a couple new followers over at the Facebook page.
That's all Dave over there.
I haven't posted anything. I've been a bad.
Yeah, we'll see.
I've been a bad.
See, you complain about we don't get new people, but you don't ever actually go over there and do anything. So.
Well, there hasn't been any activity over there, so
I swear it's.
No, I'm a Gen Xer, but I'm lazy.
Okay, there you go. So you are a slacker.
I am a slacker. Yes, I am.
So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to us once again. We'll be back with some new episodes. We are about to.
You're about to get to a week
and getting into the Oktoberfest stuff, and so yeah. If you have any suggestions, we are building that entire month as we speak because it takes more than us just getting together once a week, to do this. We have to get those things well in advance.
Yeah,
and
we're about to have to start recording 3 a week,
quite a bit. So, but we look forward to it because we love the time of the year. Like I said, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And so yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. Go check out our social media. Come back next week. We will have a more narrowed topic.
Yep.
It's at least as narrowed as we can have because it always goes off the rails at some point.
Come join us over on Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said,
we do live chat over there.
You can look in the show notes. There will be links to all of our social media. And
if you post over there's a good chance one of the two of us or both are going to answer you back,
absolutely.
whether you like it or not.
Absolutely. So, guys, thank you so much. We will see you next time. I'm Alan Smith.
I'm the other guy, Big Dave.
And we will see you.
See ya.